working with someone else on a couple of V's. What do you really think of the nigga that's making your beats? I've done things for him I thought that he never would need. Father had to stretch his hands out and get it from me. I pop style for 30 hours, then let him repeat. Now you popping up with the jokes, I'm dead, I'm asleep.
This is Evan.
Wait, time out. Let's start that again. Yo, this is the Leg Podcast.
This is LA.
This is Evan.
And I'm Germany B, the host. Want to thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Leg Podcast. I'm here with my fellas. What's up, guys? How y'all doing today?
Doing pretty good.
I'm chilling.
I'm feeling good today,
Chilling
man.
like a villain.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling jazzy.
Jazzy Jeff, when he got thrown out of Uncle Phil's house.
Yeah, I'm feeling jazzy. What y'all been up to, guys?
I'm feeling stressed. This is the last week of my Maymester.
Yes, our little college guy.
Yes. I have a
I hate
3-page paper,
Maymesters.
which is not the paper isn't really bad, but it's over a boring topic like everything else in this class. And then I have another quiz, and then I have an exam, and then I'm done. And I am going on vacation up to Ohio to visit my grandmother.
Snap.
So
Okay.
yeah, so this week is full of a lot of really exciting, really busy stuff for me, which is stressful, but it's like as soon as it's all done,
Yeah.
relax.
Relax city around here.
What about
Shoot.
you, LA?
Well, shoot, I've been working on my shirts. My store opens up next weekend.
Nice.
So,
Yes.
my online store.
Finally.
So I'm excited about that. I've been working 24 hours around the clock. So, yeah, I'm just trying to get everything in order, get my ducks in a row, dot my I's, cross my T's, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's going to be a busy week for me, opening up.
Are you feeling like the stress, excitement, jitters?
I think, I don't know about stress. I'm more anxious than I'm going to say stress, just to get it.
That anticipation.
Yeah, just to get
I
it,
see.
just to get it launched and start making money. You know what I mean? So, am I excited? Yes, because this is 4 years in the making. I've been
I was
talking
gonna
about
say
this.
that.
I've been talking about this for 4 years, and it's finally happened. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited and anxious at the same time.
Right.
I wouldn't really too much say that I'm nervous. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's not like I have to speak in front of a.
I mean, you've been expecting for
Audience.
4 years, and now it's time to give birth to a
Okay,
beautiful little business.
this t-shirt line is
know?
not pregnant now. Okay.
No. You're
Okay.
pregnant with the idea
Yeah.
of a T-shirt line.
It is like that. It's almost like when it comes to me and putting together, shut up,
Nurturing.
carrying it, pushing it out of your womb.
Yeah, man.
Nah, but it's almost like, me and, making albums. I always get very nervous before a new project come out because it's just like, okay, you spent all these months or, in your case, all these years perfecting this ideal, getting it off the ground, laying down all the groundwork, doing all of that.
Right.
And now you're about to see that idea come to fruition. And it's just like, yo, that's dope, you know?
It's like for me, it's like opening up my own t-shirt line. Opening up this store is, I compared this feeling to my first book. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Something you created.
Something I created.
Popping out into
right,
there.
something I created from the ground up. I compare this feeling to that feeling. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, we're excited
and I'm
for
just,
you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man. Because I've been seeing him work on this for a while. And I'm just like, dude, what is this coming out? It was moments when I thought it wasn't going to come out,
There was moments I thought it wasn't coming because I put it on the back burner for a hot minute.
Right.
But I'm glad that I stuck with it. I'm glad that I was patient with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Patience
think
is a virtue.
You've been very patient, very methodical, let me make sure that I am going to go through this and be ready at every single step.
Exactly.
And obviously, anytime you launch something, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be issues, but the fact that you've given yourself the best leg up, you are as ready as you could conceivably be right now.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about, man. Giving yourself the best chance to succeed in anything, And, I learned an important lesson throughout all of this is, nothing gets done overnight. Rome wasn't built in one day. And it took me learning that, to build this. Like, this is going to take time. I have to be patient. I I can't lose faith or have a lapse in motivation, even though that is coming. We sometimes have lapses in motivation, but as long as we keep towards it, we keep working every day towards that goal. It's like, hey, you'll accomplish anything with that mindset.
Yo, that's great, man. I'm happy for you.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm happy. I've been going through a dilemma. So, as you know, I'm always proactive about what I want my next project to sound like. And, I've been making music, and I'm excited about the music. However, when I listen back to this last project that I had come out, oh, by the way, that's Indiscretions, Manny exclusive, shameless plug. But but that album was probably the best work that I've ever did, and I mean it, just all across the board, hitting on all cylinders for every track. And it's hard for myself to try to top that. And everything that I'm writing and I'm creating now is not topping.
It's not topping.
Yeah, it's not topping that. So it's like, okay, so this past weekend or whatnot, I was in the studio working and stuff like that. And, I liked what I was doing or whatever. I was in a zone. I think I, knocked out about 4 songs or whatever. Just, getting the ideas down and kind of laying the groundwork and the rough drafts of kind of what I want these songs to sound like. And I like them. They're good. But then when I listen back to this project, it's just like I can't shake it.
You can't shake it, yeah.
This project to me is amazing. I want everybody to go check that out too. It's on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Tidal,
yeah, go check
Spotify,
them out. Go cop the album.
Manny exclusive. All right, y'all go ahead and check your boy out. Check your boy out. We trying to make it big over here. But yeah, it's like.
Do you feel like you're spinning your wheels, or do you feel like you're not hitting that same creative stride?
It's not even so much hitting that same creative stride, because with this new project that I'm working on or whatever, I really don't have a set idea of where I want it to go. I'm just making music to me that feels good, and that was the route that I took when I made Indiscretions Volume 1. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna just write songs, record songs how I feel, just get it all out. This is how I was feeling in this space, Every song to me is a true story, of just, things I've been through and things I've seen and just life over, the last, however many years. And so, it was just me going in there with that kind of space,
Right.
And I just happened to strike gold, It was just like, and I wasn't asking for it, it was just like, hey.
It happened when you least expected.
It happened when I least expected, and I loved it. And so coming back to this one or whatever, I mean, I guess I had already put myself in the mind space, like right before the album came out. I said after this album, I kind of just want to chill out. I'm going to make music, and if something, I feel really great about something, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there for people to hear. But I'm not going to make a new project. And that, I guess I had put myself in that mind space because I was like, this project is just so great that I don't want to overshadow it by creating something else. Because what has happened with my past projects, like this was my 3rd project. So the last 2, by the time the album came out, I was already working on the next project.
Right.
Because that's just how my mind works. I'm always thinking about 2 steps ahead,
Exactly.
I'm not just standing in the moment. And so with this project, I just felt you
sort of told yourself to slow up.
And I mean, the music, it was just, I felt so passionate about it and so convinced that this music needed to really be heard, and I needed to give it time to nurture and grow instead of trying to move on to the next thing, But again, coming back to the way Germany's mind works, it's just like
you only know one thing, that's to go 100%.
I'm always thinking, what is the next thing? Like, it's like, and then I'm a music creator, so it's just like I cannot not make music, you know. So, so I put myself in this mindset. I got about 5 songs that I'm really crazy about, but
for
I don't
for
the new project, but I don't have any set moment because it's just like until I reach that peak of where I feel this album was, I don't want to put it out there because I feel like it would be a failure to myself,
Right.
Because you always want to be growing.
I want to always want to be growing, and I just don't want to let myself down like that. Like if I can't listen to it and say, okay, you know what, Germany, you topped yourself this last time, then I don't want to do it. And that's been the evolution of the last 3 projects. My second project was better than my first one. My third one was definitely better than number 1 and 2. And it's like, but that third one was great to me. To me, this is my classic. You know, this is almost like Jay-Z's what the first album he came out with, Reasonable Doubt.
Reasonable Doubt.
This is like my Reasonable Doubt, you know?
Right.
This is like my Biggie Ready to Die, you know? Like, to me, this is my classic. Like, this is, you know, go down in history years from now when I'm not here. I want to be known that this was my classic.
Right.
You know? And
Well, if you feel like with Indiscretions that you can't top that, what that lets me know is Indiscretions is in a league of his own.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's something, it's definitely a challenge that you want to top it, but it's like, you know, what Indiscretions is, if you feel that way, hey, what you created is one of a kind, you know what I'm saying, a classic, right? You know, irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And like it's almost like some movies, you get what I'm saying? Like some movies
shouldn't be remade.
Yeah, some movies, right? Some movies. Not only that, some movies just shouldn't be remade. Like some movies just should not have a second sequel to it.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
That's what I mean.
Stands on
like
its
it stands
own,
on its own.
But that
leg.
doesn't mean you stop making
no.
movies.
If you feel like this is better than Volume 1 or, you know, the first movie in the series, then I say by all means go do it. But if you feel like you can't top that and you feel like, you know, putting out a sequel to this would be, you know, I won't say flop, but, you know, it was just plateau, then I say don't do it. You know, Indiscretions to him is his,
but I cannot just do it because I'm an artist.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I can't.
And that's why I'm saying, if you feel like hey, this music is topping this, by all means go ahead and do it. That's all I'm saying.
But like I see that you see it as the pinnacle.
Right.
But I think it's sort of your charge as a musical creator to push yourself, to beat yourself. Like you are your own competition.
And to you it's a challenge. Like, hey, like you know, I want to create something better than Indiscretions. So everyone loves a challenge.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It is. No, to me, that's exactly what it is. And that's the reason why I told myself that I'm not going to put anything else out until I know for a fact that I can sit down and say for myself, I surpassed myself.
Now,
like,
I have heard
yourself, you know.
What this sort of sounds like is writer's block, but a very specific kind of writer's block where you're able to write stuff, but it's not meeting up to the level that you want it to. And what I've heard with regards to writer's block is that if you try something else, intentionally force yourself. So if you were a fantasy writer, write a historical fiction.
You're talking to a writer right now. I know all about writer's block. If you sometimes you have to force yourself to write to get yourself out of that funk.
Do something different intentionally. So like if for your example, do an entirely different genre. Intentionally push yourself into a entirely different genre for the sole purpose of experimentation and forcing your mind to sort of break out of where it's locked in. And then you come back to the project that you're working on in your current genre and you have these fresh ideas because you've sort of played with other things.
Or like for me, I just write rhymes just for the hell of it, just to get myself out of that funk. And I feel like if I'm writing about a certain topic and I have this one line that I brainstorm and I read that, I'll come back to that and fit it almost like a puzzle within that story.
Because you've already built it up.
I've already built it up. So yeah, I get what Germany B is saying. It's a challenge. And everyone loves a challenge.
I mean, back to what Evan said about, you know, intentionally doing something else. Okay, I mean, for me, I'm a hybrid. So I do, you know, I've experimented with a lot of different genres, you know. I mean, I'm pop and R&B, but I have experience with country. You know, I've experienced with, you know, I guess you could say orchestra type, you know, genre or whatever. I guess that still kind of falls in pop, but I've kind of moved around. And I will say this: it doesn't. To me, it's not that the writing is not there. The writing is there. I think just for me, it's a lot of layers that go into it. To me, you know, it's like three things: great writing, great sound, great production. You know, the writing's good. How I hear it in my head, the sound I feel like is right. Now that production's got to match up.
Okay.
All them three things got to hit on all cylinders for me to feel like, okay, good. And that's why I felt like on Indiscretions, the writing, the sound, and the production all came together. And it matched. So in this case, because this is another thing, me being, you know, a producer too, I'll hear something in my head, and how I hear that music in my head is exactly how I want the record to sound. Like, for instance, last week when I was recording, I got this new record called Comfortable. And I wrote it probably back in January or something around there. And I recorded it initially then, but it just didn't sound right. So I left it alone. Because that's how I am.
Right.
If I'm recording something, I'm not one of them people that, I'm just stay in the studio, I'm just record all the time. Because sometimes I might not be in mindset, voice might not sound right. I got to be hitting on all cylinders for me to go in there. And I just don't want to go in there doing anything. And I'm steady retrying the same thing.
Banging your head against the wall.
And it's not coming out right. So I'm one of those people, you know, I put it to the side, leave it alone, go live life. When I feel that spark, like, hey, let me do this. Cool. Okay. Give me a little drink, you know, loosen up, blah, blah, blah.
A little Jack Daniels, you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
Gentleman Jack.
Being a singer or whatever, you know, it's kind of hard on the, you know, vocals, you know, you over there just throwing back shots.
Hey, sometimes you write the best music when you're buzzed.
Yeah, writing and alcohol do go together.
No. I do drink when I'm recording, but I'll do something light, like some wine or something like that, you know, something that's not too crazy on the vocal cords, like I'm burning myself or whatnot, and, you know, I'll do something light like that and, you know, get in a groove. And that's initially what happened last week. You know, I think I had a whole bottle of wine or something like that, popped some of that. I was buzzed, feeling good.
You had a whole bottle of wine in your buzz? Nice.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear.
What was I supposed to
I don't know. Maybe I'm a lightweight, but if I have a whole bottle of wine, I'm
you going to sleep?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm
not
buzzed. I'm a little bit.
It's not my
definitely a little bit more than that.
Well, Evan, if you think you are a lightweight, then more than likely you are a lightweight.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Let me just say this.
Do other people treat bottles of wine like a beer, like a single?
I mean,
or
sometimes
double?
that's the best way to drink it.
Let me just say this. It's not my first time. But I mean, so let's just say I have experience in drinking a whole bottle of wine by myself. The first time I did it, I went straight to like sleep, just because the thing with wine is it's different from liquor, you know, to me. Like wine,
you got to sip.
No, it's not even so much you got to sip. Wine to me mellows me out, but then I'll fall asleep. Like wine will make me go to sleep if I'm not doing something.
Right.
You know, like if I'm just sitting there at the house chilling, I got a bottle of wine, I can polish one off by myself. But then next thing you know, I'm, you know, you know, liquor, the brown liquor, you know, all that. That on the other hand, just like, you know, I got a saying that if it's clear, get, you know, brown. If it's brown, it goes down. If it's clear, get that mess out of here. You know, because I don't mess with clear like that unless it's like maybe some tequila or something. You know, it depends. You know, but I stick to the Jack Daniels and the Crown Royals that I'm used to.
I see.
So with that being said, you know, but when I'm recording or whatever, you know, I like to get a little wine, kind of get into it and stuff, especially for the music that I am creating. Right. You know, so
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like you want to have that flow, you know, going when you
mellow,
know you want to put the pen to the paper.
So I'm almost I polished off almost a whole bottle of wine.
You didn't share.
No, I'm
gonna use Evan's line. How dare you, sir?
There we go.
You know what, Evan? I'm gonna make that a T-shirt for you. With your
Okay.
face, with your face on, it's gonna
Excellent.
say, "How dare you, sir?"
I am 100% okay with this. I will wear this shirt.
Whatever. So, I started probably about 9 or 10 o'clock. I was up to like 5:30 in the
This
morning.
was yesterday?
No, this was last weekend.
Oh.
Recording. Up to probably about 5 in the morning, and it was great. Really finished about 3 songs, but like I said, I just felt like, okay, they're good, they're great, but once I have that same feeling, I know.
So it's not writer's block, it's producer's block. It's,
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of a producer's
because
block.
you have no problem writing.
Yeah.
It's the production.
Because it's the artistry. It's just like when you're an artist, we tend to love everything we write. We think everything we write is amazing. But I have to, being an artist and being a producer, I have to take myself out of the equation and be unbiased even to myself. I got so many songs in the vault that I've written and recorded, and they've almost made previous projects, and I'm sitting
they
there.
didn't live up to your level.
No, and then because I have to listen to it, and when I listen to it, I'm like, nah, G, this ain't it. This is not it.
right.
Like, I love it being the artist, but being the seller, the marketer, the producer behind it, it's like, this is not the one. So we have to put it away. Maybe
Right.
it'll come out in the future.
Maybe
you
you'll do like a
They say-
B-side.
yeah, B-side, or maybe it be
Save it for a rainy.
retooled.
Save it for a rainy
I've
day.
I've had records, like even on my second project, I had a record that that I retooled, and it didn't even make my first project. It wasn't even for my first project. It was actually for a mixtape I was working on before the first project, like a year and a half before that, and left the song alone. Did the first project. The first project came out, did well. Working on the second one. The second one came out probably about a year later. And I actually retooled one of the records for the second project. And it ended up fitting the concept that I was having for the evaluation. So that has happened before. But a lot of things, it's just like some stuff, it just be for myself, in the vault.
Yeah.
Maybe years
It's
down.
for your ears only.
Yeah,
you know
for
what
my
I mean?
ears only. But yeah. It's,
Or for
You can make
work, retooling.
yeah, retooling, or
If you have an inspiration, you're just like, wait,
Yeah.
I know
like
how
that,
this can go.
that could be the title of like your next album, like on some
The
J. Cole
inspiration?
shit. No, on some J. Cole shit for your ears only. That could be the name of your next
and
project.
it's gonna go double plastic, double wood.
Double Rubbermaid,
Yeah, but nah. Speaking of music, yo, did y'all hear that new Drake
Oh
disc?
man, shit. He slayed the shit out of Pusha T. Oh my god.
So wait, what's the backstory here? I'm
All right, so
not-
Pusha T put out his new album.
Okay.
Originally, it was supposed to be titled King Push, and I'm gonna say this: I'm a Pusha T fan. I think that dude is just his pen game is crazy. His flow is just crazy. Love some Pusha T, and I've been waiting on this damn King Push album for a minute. They was talking about this goddamn King Push album back in like 2014, 2015.
So it's finally coming out.
So it's finally coming out 4 or 5 years late. But that's besides the point.
That's almost like Dr. Dre's Detox album that never came out.
So he named it Daytona. I think it's 7 records. I've listened to a few cuts on it, haven't finished the whole album. I like it. But he has a record called Infrared. I think that's the name of it.
Infrared?
Infrared, yeah.
He said,
Yes. I'm dumb. Anyway, Infrared. And it's basically dissing Drake. And I mean, I guess I heard the record before the beef actually took place, because I didn't know there was a beef. Like, I didn't realize there was a beef until I saw Drake actually posting like "You're welcome," something like that, and it was like an invoice.
yeah, he said he actually
And
said
I
that
was
in his
like,
rap.
what the heck is he putting up this invoice and it says the Good Music / Def Jam? I was like, wait a minute. And then that's when I looked online. I'm like, what's going on?
So
Then
I'm seeing online here that he sent a $100,000 invoice for promotional assistance and career reviving.
Yeah, pretty much giving
Wow.
Pusha T all that attention. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, listen here. I'm gonna say this. After Drake bodied Meek Mill with the back-to-back diss track. Honestly, before that, I didn't think Drake was that kind of rapper. You know, he's not a battle rapper. That's what I've always thought. When Back to Back came out, I said, okay, he handled that like a champ. The true hip hop fan in you can't do nothing but, you know, respect
that, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, he handled that joint like a champ. You know, he handled it like a champ. Cool. Fast forward, Pusha T comes out with his album. I never knew it was an issue with them. So I'm still trying to sit here and figure out, and maybe some of the listeners can tell us, why in the world did Pusha T even initially go at him?
Whether he had his reasons or not, like if any rapper that saw the way Drake bodied Meek Mill, it's like, why would you go after Drake? Like seriously, like okay, look. This is the second time he's done this. He's got a history of doing this. He bodied Meek Mill on Back to Back. Duppy's freestyle is pretty much like Back to Back 2.0.
Yeah, but when you're talking about somebody like Pusha T came from the battleground. You can't sit there. You can't sit there and say that, oh, well, nobody should come at Drake because that's almost like we're making Drake the best battle rapper. And
no, I'm not.
You know how many great diss tracks that came out?
Look, I'm not saying that.
Ether. Shoot,
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is you saw the way Drake bodied Meek Mill from the record to social media to his OVO festival where he had a bunch of pictures of memes going on the slideshow while he was rapping back to back on the stage. I mean, it's just almost like, to me, it's the way he started off the song is like the audacity, the nerve, like. It's like he's saying, like, here we go again. Like, y'all want to come at me again? Like, here we go again.
Okay, I will say this. When you do talk about the Meek Mill beef and the Meek Mill diss track or whatnot, back then, okay, yes, again, I still think that is a great diss track. It's going to go down in history as being one of the diss tracks. And ever. The reason that diss track was so big because Drake was able to make a diss track that went commercial. He almost won a Grammy off of that diss track. It was nominated for a Grammy. So that's what made that diss track so great. But if I had to put him in the category of everybody who's had all the rappers that have had beef with other rappers and then put out diss tracks, I'm not putting Drake up there like, oh, don't touch Drake because you know Drake is lethal. No. Because I know for a fact Pusha T can handle himself if that had to come to that.
Like, I'm just saying, like, Drake said in the song, like, I should send you an invoice for giving you all this attention. And he did it. He sent him an invoice for $100K. He did the same thing with the whole back-to-back against Meek Mill. It's like he said, you're going to make me send 6 bottles to Charlemagne. And guess what he did? He sent 6 bottles of Dom Perignon to Charlemagne. He lives out his raps.
Yeah, he's living through his truth. He's living his truth.
That's what I love about
this. That's essentially it. Now, I will say this. For Pusha T, like, again, I never knew it was an issue with them. Obviously, there is. Pusha T was on the Breakfast Club, and, you know, he, you know, pretty much,
was you know, shit?
Yes and no. Something like that. You know, I saw the clip where they was talking about Drake, and I'm just like, okay, I get it. Apparently, I'm thinking now there's an issue with Kanye West because, you know, this is Kanye West's label. Kanye West produced the whole album. Music. So I think there was an issue with Kanye West. Now, what Drake said on Duppy about Q. Now, see, initially Pusha T on Infrared, he was coming at Drake for having a ghostwriter. And everybody, this is my whole thing, too.
I think that thing is played out already.
This thing is played out. We don't say this about singers, okay? Whitney Houston, one of the greatest voices to ever grace the mic, wrote only one song in her whole entire career.
Wow.
And only wrote on and literally only wrote on one song her entire career. So she only has one writing credit out of her entire career. Yes, she sung great songs like I Will Always Love You, Saving All My Love for You, You Give Good Love. And she didn't write none of those songs, but she sung those songs like she wrote.
Is known
and known for them, and she makes you feel like she wrote it. It doesn't matter unless you're a great writer. Now I can understand people are gonna get on me talking about, well, listen here, it's all about the hip hop culture. Your pen game, it means more, and I get that. However, in this day and age, you have to separate commercial rap from battle rap. Now, people battling out on the street, like if you're in New York or whatever, and you're on the street just being a battle rapper and stuff like that. That's what you're doing. That's what you're known for. But when it comes to, people being recording artists that are actually rappers, you know how many great songs have millions of co-writers on there? Like how many great rap songs have millions? Not only
millions
of co-writers, but like millions of co-producers. It seems like as well.
This is sort of both, isn't it? It's a battle rap commercialized, is it not? I mean, it's a bunch of call outs, it's a bunch of references, it's a bunch of jabs and stabs and all that.
Yeah, but see, Pusha T is saying that Drake has he had a ghostwriter, and on some of his best work he had a ghostwriter, and Drake didn't really deny it. He basically said, he was like, yo, I changed, I guess his ghostwriter, they saying his name was Quentin
Miller.
Quentin Miller, and he, we heard about that years ago. And he actually said that, I changed his life a couple of times. The nigga was working at Kroger before I found him, and he basically said, y'all acting like he made me. I was trying to help the boy, which is true. Drake did have major success before that Rico verse came out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand where he was coming from that. He didn't deny it, but I'm like, okay, we in that boat where it doesn't matter. It's almost like Cardi B. It's like, okay, on Cardi B, she has somebody that's helping her with her rhymes or whatever. Everybody made a big deal about her song Be Careful, which that video was scary as fuck.
I haven't seen the video yet.
It was.
Keep it
listen here,
from the way you describing it.
I'm gonna just say this before we get back into Drake. I'm gonna just say this: don't watch that video around your girl, because if you in the doghouse and you done did something,
then you're gonna be buried under it.
You got right.
That video might
that doghouse won't even exist. Like
that video might give her some idea. All right,
that doghouse will be buried 6 feet under with you in it.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you walk in and it's 3 days in a row and your girl is still listening to Be Careful by Cardi B and watching the video, you might want to find you another place to live, because you might not be making it out of there that weekend.
No.
That's all I'm gonna say.
You'll end up on Dateline.
But that's all I'm gonna say. But we'll get back into that later. But so back to Drake, it's just like, okay, yeah, Cardi B had plenty of writers on her album, but her album was great. So you don't have to, I feel like if you're an MC, you don't have to be the only writer on a song. As long as the song is great, it takes, because you might be in the studio and we're all in the studio, and let's just say I'm a rapper and we in the studio and I'm writing a verse or I'm writing a song and I'm tracking it out and all that good stuff, and then Evan comes up with an idea like, oh, you should add this in there. Boom, he's a co-writer. I didn't think of that, and he could only write 2 lines saying that, oh, instead of saying this, you should say blah, 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 blah. Boom, he's a co-writer. Yeah. And then you give me an idea, oh, you should talk about this. Boom. You a co-writer. It doesn't mean that, that you actually have to write all your rhymes. I don't understand.
I mean, ghostwriting goes a lot farther than just somebody shooting you an idea. Ghostwriting is where someone basically does all of the writing. I can see both sides. I can totally see where the performance of it and being able to drop the bars in the way that they're supposed to be dropped is paramount. But I can also see how, if you're supposed to be rapping based on the cleverness of what you're saying and it's somebody else's cleverness,
right,
then that sort of reduces the effect. It reduces the impact of it.
Okay, but people are acting like Drake is the first rapper to have a ghostwriter. This has been happening across music for generations, for decades.
All genres, everywhere. Yes.
If we can come up with a percentage or a ratio of how many rappers and singers have a ghostwriter, I think it would be somewhere from the 70% to maybe 30% ratio. 70% of rappers and singers have a ghostwriter. the rare 30% minority actually writes their own stuff. So this has been happening across music for generations. Drake is not the first one to have a ghostwriter. He definitely won't be the last artist to have a ghostwriter.
So is it a big enough deal to try and diss him over?
I'm gonna put it like this. Maybe when the whole Meek Mill and the Drake beef came out, okay, maybe. But here we are. I mean, when did Back to Back come out? 2015. Here we are 3 years later, and you're still talking about, oh, he's got a ghostwriter. That's almost like watching 8 Mile with Eminem, and he's battle rapping, and he's saying Eminem is pretty much dissing his own self, basically to where you can't say anything that he said.
But at the same time, we can't deny the actual culture,
right?
Because how the hip hop culture is that you are your pride and joy is your pen game, your rhymes, your ideas.
Right.
So I feel like it shouldn't be like that in this day and age, especially when you're selling rap commercially. But I can understand to a certain extent how people will feel. And I guess that's how Pusha T and the real hip-hop heads, because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a hip-hop head like that. I like hip-hop, but I can't sit there and say I'm just a hip-hop
Well, Pusha T was in a different, was coming up in a different era of music than Drake was. In Pusha T's era, it wasn't no such thing as mama rappers. You actually had lyrics that you can understand. You actually had songs that you could relate to back in that time. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I remember Pusha T with Clips. And the whole I forgot what that song called, but it was like, grinding. Yeah, that song, everybody was jumping to that, you know what I'm saying? So Pusha T grew up in a different era than Drake is. You know what I'm saying? Where commercialized music, I'm not gonna say it was not the priority, but it wasn't so much as, okay, I gotta make music that appeals to this certain number of people to sell an album.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? It's a different age of music now. You know what I'm saying? That goes to the streaming services as well. When it comes to music, people don't buy albums anymore. People buy it off iTunes. People buy digital copies. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you got to compare.
Well, not just that. They also buy tickets. They want to listen to people live. And a lot of the reason why you want to go listen to somebody live is because they have the sort of cult of personality. They have the persona. And if that person is just a singer and not a songwriter, and it's sort of known that they don't write anything original on their own, that would sort of decrease their value for you wanting to go see them live, right?
True.
When you go touring, like for every artist, when they go touring, that's how they make the real money.
Yes.
If you ask me. You know what I'm saying? They make money by touring all over the world.
That and the merchandise.
Exactly.
And the sort of ancillary.
Yeah, because they're not making any money off the records.
Like
it's not that they don't make money. It's just
they're making maybe 40, 50 cents.
It really depends.
Per record, it depends on the contract.
The way your contract's structured, but ultimately, unless you own your masters, and if you own your masters, you're making a bulk of the money. What ends up happening is most people sign record deals and they sign records to companies.
Right.
So anything that you put out, that company actually owns the masters. So you're only getting a percentage of that revenue that's coming in. So you have to tour, you have to sell merchandise, you have to get thing, you have to get sponsorships, and you have to get endorsements. That's the word I was looking for. You have to get endorsements, you have to get other TV deals and stuff like that, because the record label is taking the bulk of the money that's coming in from the actual record sales, radio play, and all that. And that's the reason why a lot of record labels are actually signing people to 360 deals, because nobody's buying music anymore.
Right.
Everybody's streaming.
What's a 360 deal?
Okay, so a 360 deal is essentially this. A record label will sign you, and basically when they sign you to a 360 deal, that means they get a portion of anything and everything you do. Because they're not making, because now at one time, like in the 90s and even the early 2000s, people were selling 500,000 copies in the first week. CDs. People was going diamond. Usher went diamond in 04 with Confessions. TLC went diamond in 94 with Crazy Sexy Cool. You know, like people were actually buying CDs. What Ashanti, her first album went 3-4 times platinum.
Over, yeah.
And she was like, at that time, she was like the first female artist to have the biggest sales in history or whatever in the first week. CDs were selling. So when it came time for touring, when it came time for all that revenue was coming into you. And that's how a lot of singers and artists made their money on the road. That's why you still see a lot of these older artists that have classics. They're not putting out music, but they're able to make a lot of money because they're able to tour and sing these songs.
Yeah.
So fast forward, and I want to say this started probably about 2009, 2010. That's really when iTunes began to really pop and boom. That's when record sales went down.
And
because
not just iTunes, but the entire internet was grabbing up streaming.
And they was grabbing
everywhere.
up streaming. But, iTunes was like the first one. Because I remember on iTunes, and you can still do this today, you can pick and choose which songs you want to listen to, and they gave you previews. So whichever, you didn't even have to buy the whole album. You could say, oh, I only like four of these tracks from a 16-track album. So I'll just buy those 4. So now that doesn't count as a record sale.
They sort of learned. They did what is it called? Digital Deluxe Exclusive or something. Like where if you buy the entire album you get some certain extra
you get
tracks.
certain extra
you get some extra tracks.
I think Target was doing that the
then
most.
they did it on there. They did it on iTunes and stuff. You had the Google Play edition, and they will sell different tracks. So it's like if you wanted this track, you have to go buy a whole album. Yeah, they started doing that, and that helped to a certain extent. But like you said, when Spotify really hit, that's when it took off, because it's just like people's like, why am I gonna buy albums when I can literally have my phone and have 50 million songs
at my disposal
at any time, any place, as long as I got internet or data.
And then Spotify just flicks them a penny and says,
yes.
all right, get out
and
of here.
then that's the reason why Apple Music came into play. Apple Music, and then, people are over at Apple Music. And then Jay-Z said, forget this, we need to have our own. He creates Tidal.
Yeah.
So, so now streaming is going into that. So back to the initial statement. Now, record labels like, dang, we ain't making no money. So what they're doing is they're signing people up to 360 deals. So let's just say you become a big artist, you start doing TV shows, you start getting endorsements and all that. They get a piece of that.
And they're helping you since it's their the label is helping you.
And
since it's in their interest to have you
but
big.
some of the
stuff
stuff the label is not even helping, because let's just say I'm a big artist and I'm signed to Atlantic Records. If my manager is a Jeff Robertson, or I'm signed to Primary Wave Management, those are just some management companies. Like if my manager goes out and curates a deal for me that has nothing to do with the label. Now I can see the label giving, they're actually in there and y'all sit down and y'all have a plan. Well, what do you want to do when it comes to marketing and merchandising and all that? And then they curate a deal for you, that's fine. Yeah. But if my management or my team curates a deal and it has nothing to do with the label, y'all shouldn't get a piece of that, because y'all didn't curate that deal. All of y'all doing are distributing the music. Y'all are fronting me to create the music.
Right.
I would say yes if they are not actively promoting you. I think you have to look at it. I mean,
but that's in the deal, because if you think about it years ago, that's the record label's job. They're promoting you so they make money.
Right.
And they're making 80% of the buck off the album.
Off of the album. See, but if they've signed a 360 deal where they're going to make a percent off of everything, and I'm assuming the percent that they would take off the album is much lower than what it would be in a traditional.
No,
okay,
they
so
still.
Wait a minute. Okay, so wait a minute. If the record labels are taking a piece of everything that they like when it comes to endorsement.
And how big of a piece?
I mean, okay.
They're
is it like
still
5%? Is it 30%?
It really depends on how your deal's set up.
Okay, well, would this discourage artists from signing 360 deals? Let's just say it's like Germany.
It should.
Like, I would think it should, because if I'm an artist and I know, I know my record label is going to market me for my music, the branding, you know, and stuff like that. I'm fine with that. But to say that they're going to get a a piece of my money if I get an endorsement deal with Whataburger, or no, let's just say for instance, or if I get an endorsement deal with Wendy's. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get a piece of my money off of that. I ain't like
no, that's not,
see,
and
that's if you know that you're gonna, if you are confident enough that you're gonna make it, then sure, don't sign a 360 deal. But if you're somebody who's trying to put food on the table and you're like,
but see, they do that. They do that with
promotion.
people. They do that with people that they know got potential. Like if they catch you really young and they catch you in a
Right.
vulnerable
Right.
state.
Well, see, they
and-
see that you have potential.
And you don't know
but
nothing about the business.
What if you don't have? Okay, let's take someone who's very talented, but doesn't have any clue what they're doing. All right.
Okay, yeah.
A record label can come in and say, we're going to provide you all the equipment. We're going to promote your content. We're going to promote you. We're going to set up tour dates. We're going to take care of all the details of the tour, including a bus and, entourage and blah, 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 blah. We're going to take care of all the details, and we're going to take a little bit of a cut. Versus that artist who has talent, who has absolutely no idea whatsoever how to market themselves correctly without the record label.
But see,
they
you got the
die.
greatest.
They're gone.
No, but they don't, because I'm gonna tell you why. And this is coming from me being an artist. You have the greatest marketing yourself. You have YouTube.
That's
you
what
have
I'm saying.
social
You-
media.
Like social media
No,
has advanced
I'm
so
saying
far. Where,
somebody who has the musical talent but does not have the savvy, does not have the media know-how to be able to actually promote
well,
themselves.
okay,
can't-
doesn't
okay,
mean, it
you
doesn't,
can get-
okay, but it doesn't mean they can't always learn. Like you see a lot of these artists, like Germany B said, they get them while they're young. But you
Right.
see, as they progress, as they get through their music career, and as they get older and they learn more about the business, you start seeing them trying to branch off from their label, or they make a subsidiary of their own.
Right. Is this 360 contract a lifetime contract?
I mean, it depends. I mean, it could be 7 years or even longer than that. It depends on how many albums they sign you to. Let's
I
say
guess
they
not
let's say
everybody
they
has a
sign you to
long-term musical career.
I mean, let's just say they sign you to a 7-album deal. They used to be like the standard. You know how long it takes to make 7 albums? Because if you make one album back in the day, one album normally a good album will last about 2 years.
Before
And
you had to get in the studio and make a new one.
Yeah, a good album could last your fans 2 years, because a good album you could put out 5-6 singles over a span of 2 years.
And you're touring.
And you're
supporting
touring
it.
and you're supporting it and you're doing that. So at the end of the day, if they sign me to a 7-album deal, it might take me 15 years to actually get out of that deal if I don't end up getting dropped in the
Right. Or
And
just
drop
not
off
to
the
mention,
face of
not
the
to
public
mention,
sphere.
when you're signed to a record label, that's one of the reasons why with me, if I was to ever sign to a record label, it will have to be a certain deal, and I'll get into that in a minute. But when you're signed to a record label, you can't put out music when you want to. It is up to the record label. You can't not just go and do features and stuff like that when you want to. It's up to the record label. If they want to stop you from putting out a feature, they can't stop you because they hold your artist rights.
Right.
On top of that, let's just say they want you create this great body of work. They want to continue to push your album back, they can. And you can't put that stuff out yourself because you're going to be in breach of contract because you signed a recording contract to them. So if they want to wait, and I've seen this happen with a lot of artists get on social media and stuff like that, and they're frustrated because they record label, it's been 3 years, and they record label keeps pushing their
it back.
album back, and they're not putting out the work, and they've already had an album done and all that. So it's a lot that goes into it. So if you have that, and then on top of that you sign a 360 deal,
And they're taking a
and you're
percent
taking
of
a
everything,
percentage
yeah.
of that, it's just like, okay, you're getting it everywhere. But some people do it. Now I know with me and with how I would do it, it's just like this, like how I'm doing it now. I'm independent. I own all my masters and all that. I would love to stay that way. But if I ever did go into a recording deal with somebody, I would automatically up front be like, I want to continue to own my masters. I will license it to you, but I'm going to own the masters
Right.
because I already started this ball rolling. And that's another thing with the record labels now. It's no more artist development. 20, 30 years ago, you had artist development. It was some artists that wouldn't come out until 5 years after they signed their first deal because they actually went through artist development, them actually creating you and making you an artist and teaching you certain things, teaching you media training, teaching you all the intangibles that come into being an artist. They don't do that anymore.
Now they
what
just do
they
it
do,
for
they
you?
no. Now they expect they find people on the internet because they expect to find people who already have the ball rolling. You already got a following on YouTube or Instagram
It pretty
or
much take- it
Facebook
pretty
or
much
whatever.
take that load off their shoulders
and
right
they
there.
take that load off the shoulders
shoulders right
because
there.
you already got a following. Like for instance, there's this singer on YouTube. Her name is Queen Naja. Amazing voice. She just signed a deal with Capitol Records. However, Queen has like a 5 million fan base on YouTube. She got started because she was married to this guy, and they had a channel called Chris and Queen. She branched off and made her own channel, and she got like 2.5 or 2.1 million followers on there. Not to mention her song Medicine that came out in December. That song reached in the top 40, and she did that independently. It top 40 of Billboard. It's bubbling under the top 40. So Capitol doesn't have to do anything because she's bringing 5 million fans into the fold.
Right.
So they don't even have to do no artist development, none of that. All they have to do is just put the music out and make profit.
Make profit. And
So-
I feel like, with that, it's like if she already got her, what you say, 2.1 million fans,
Well, collectively, probably about 5 million.
5
fans.
million fans on YouTube. I feel like she did that independently. Why don't you push the music out independently?
Well, signing to record labels isn't bad. It's just like in this day and age,
long as you don't get
you
screwed
gotta
over.
get the right deal. Like
Right.
I said, like for instance, another artist that I think is amazing, Kaylani. She signed to Atlantic Records, but she made sure they gave her a label deal. So basically, she signs her own label in conjunction. It's a joint venture with Atlantic because basically, like she said, she's like, I was already having the can blowing down the road. I already started the ball rolling. I just need you to put a little bit more air behind it.
Right.
That's
And also,
essentially
like,
what it is.
what some artists do is they're signed to their own record label. Like they have their own record label independently, but they need a distribution.
Or you
deal.
can sign a
Sign
distribution
distribution deal. Like,
And I'm
look,
good with that,
like,
too.
Like Logic, for instance, he has Visionary, but he signed under Def Jam only for distribution purposes only. So
Yeah.
basically, all y'all have to do is just push out the album.
Yeah, push out the album. But
Push out the album. Make sure it gets into stores and everything like that.
But yeah, I wouldn't sign no 360 deal. I forgot where we was going with that. Obviously, I mean, back to the Drake situation. Drake and Meek Mill. Not Drake and Meek Mill. Drake and Pusha T. Listen here. I think it's good for the culture, but don't get me wrong. I listen to both songs. Duppy, it goes pretty hard. It goes pretty hard, but I'm just like, guys, really? Like I don't get it. I mean, I understand that you really going at it for the culture or whatever the case may be, but it's just like, can we all just get along?
But yet again, right back to the Cardi B, Nicki Minaj situation.
Oh,
that
it's
we
to
talked
sell
about a
records,
few-
and that's the reason why Drake did that,
Promotional.
because that's the reason why he sent that invoice for paid promotion,
Mm-hmm.
because he's like, I just revived your career because you basically took a shot at me. So your album get more,
album get more plays,
looks.
more
because if
looks.
people know I'm beefing with you, they gonna go listen to the album to see what song.
And when
it is.
he
is.
claps back, it's also people looking at him and
Yeah.
paying attention to him. I mean, it's
And
It's a big marketing
And
scheme.
Drake's Scorpion album comes out, I think, of the next couple months.
Oh well, good for that.
So since we're on the subject of music, earlier this week,
Oh, yeah.
there was an incident with a stage and a
Talking about Kendrick
young,
Lamar.
a young white fan.
Yeah, like okay, so if nobody knows, it was a white.
Been living under a rock.
If you've been living under a rock, Kendrick Lamar, I think he had a show in Alabama, and
That's the last place I would have a show in.
yeah, whatever. So he had a show in Alabama, and he had a white fan come up on, and she was singing one of his songs from his first album.
And it wasn't
called-
like she was invited up. It wasn't like she
Yeah.
jumped the stage or
yeah,
something.
no, he invited her up there. So she was singing a song from his first album called Mad City. Good Kid, Mad City. That was his debut album.
Great album.
Classic.
Great
by
album.
far. And honestly, I don't think in my personal opinion, I don't think Kendrick's topped that except Damn. I like Damn. To Pimp a Butterfly was just a little bit more abstract to me, but Damn did go. But it's nothing like that Good Kid, Mad City. In this song, I think in the chorus alone, they say the N words 5 times. Like they say nigga 5 times. And I'm like, okay. So basically she comes up on stage, he gets her to sing the chorus, the part that says the N word 5 times. And so she actually says it. Then, he kind of, lets it go for a little bit. And then he's like, whoa. And then he's like, yeah, I need you. And then she's like, what? I'm not cool enough for you, bro? Like, I'm not cool enough for you, man?
Oh, you said it in that voice?
Yeah, no, she literally said it like that. Everybody who's seen the audio knows or heard the audio knows. She said it like that. And, he was like, yeah, but you got to change that one word. And then she automatically corrected herself. Now, I'm going to say this. I think she knew what she was doing, and she felt like, okay, maybe I could get away with it. I see both sides. So I feel like she knew what she was doing, because when he told her to correct herself, because he asked the audience, should I give her another chance? And everybody's like, yeah, give her another chance.
Oh, she did it again?
And so she did the chorus again, but she automatically bleeped out the N word. So it was almost like an auto correction, like she knew that, but then at the same time I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, these millennial babies, the ones that was born in the 21st century, they don't know no better. Like, come on.
But like, what, without specific instruction, you've been called up on stage to sing a song.
Right. You're gonna naturally recite the lyrics
Like,
that you heard from him.
Yeah.
I feel like
now everybody is gonna probably bash me and feel some kind of way about me saying this, but I'm gonna say this first, okay? Do I use the N word sometimes? Yes. We think of it as a term.
How dare you, sir?
Yes.
How dare you?
I'm so bad. But we use it as a term of endearment, like "What's up, my," or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows culturally in our music, we tend to use that word a lot to describe a dude. And I kind of look at it like this. Okay, when it comes to hip hop music, a lot of people may not want to think this, but if you look at the percentage of people who are buying hip hop music, rap music, the majority is white people. They're the ones actually funding and purchasing these albums. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people don't like to think that, and especially down here in the South, it's very hard to see the white hip hop heads, but there's a lot of Caucasian hip hop heads, and they're the ones actually buying this music. They're the ones, actually going to these tours and stuff like that. Us, we buy the music, but then a lot of times we listening to it on the radio. Or back Spotify. In the day. Well, Spotify now.
Spotify was not
back
then.
Back in the day, we were bootlegging the CDs. You know what I'm saying?
I know I was.
So don't incriminate yourself. Yeah. But so we're not necessarily supporting fully all the way. Not saying all of us are doing that, but a lot of us did. Okay, so when it fast forwards to it, first of all, he's in Alabama, number one. Number two, he already knew. Listen here. This is a chance this could happen. Like, I feel like, couldn't you have, I think I was listening to The Breakfast Club, and Charlemagne had their producer actually count how many times the N-word was used in this particular song. And I think they said anywhere from like 21 to 25 times.
Wait, is Lamar on the show?
No. They was doing like a rumor report, and they was talking about it.
Talking to themselves.
Yeah. Oh, no, matter of fact, Charlemagne was doing Donkey of the Day. And so, everybody knows that's a segment where he basically brings light to somebody being stupid. Mm-hmm. And so he's bringing it out. I think he more gave the Donkey of the Day to her, not to Kendrick. But I think it was like a little bit of both. And I basically, he was saying it was like 21 times. I'm thinking in the back of my head, you couldn't have brought her up for another song that maybe didn't have the N-word in there 21 times.
Because
he has...
Have your people like before when she's being brought up on stage, like, all right, sing it, but without,
or did some kind of thing like that. But I kind of look at it like this, and I've always said this. We sit here and we get mad when somebody of another race or somebody that we consider to be a majority or whatever, like white people, if they use the N-word, we get upset, and rightfully so, because there's a negative connotation that goes with it. However, we uplift this word. We use this word in pretty much every facet of our lives, okay?
In a very casual
way. And while we might not take offense to it, I understand, and I can understand why all my people like, but yeah, it's still we made it a lifeful, we made it more lighthearted, and we changed the demeanor of the word, or we changed what the word actually means to us,
which is true,
and it's true.
That's
and it's great
true.
But at the same time, I'm sitting here just like, yeah, like at the end of the day, I've always said this: we need to do better. We need to stop using the word.
Just make it go away.
And then on top of that, we also, if you're a rapper and you know that you're at a concert and you have all these white fans, why? To me, it's just like Kendrick. Why didn't you just bring up another song that didn't have that many words in there? Like, I feel like on both parts. Maybe she didn't know, but I feel like she did know. On her side, you just got to pay attention to society.
But
you can't just
aren't the rules different for music? Like if she went up and said that on the street, like everyone flips out, what the fuck, and completely justified. Right. But now this isn't my genre. This is not something that I'm going to be. I'm not going to be at the concert. And also I'm white, so it doesn't have the same mental affectation. But I guess I'm just confused as to why it's such a big deal.
Okay, but see, everybody was saying that about the Lil Dicky song. Everybody was saying that basically Lil Dicky was saying the N-word to two people through Chris Brown.
But it wasn't Lil Dicky.
But it wasn't. No.
Chris Brown
was the one that
Chris body.
Yeah. Yes.
So Lil Dicky didn't actually
Freaky
say
Friday.
that. I'll have you know, sir.
Yeah.
I'll have you know.
God, I just woke up in Crispin Friday.
Yes.
What's up, my? What's up, my?
What up,
that song is hilarious. But I remember I was listening to The Brilliant Idiots, and Charlamagne did say, he said that song's about to get a whole lot of white girls in trouble because they're gonna be walking around saying that, and then they're gonna say, oh well, Lil Dicky said, can I say it when it's in a song? And surely enough, that situation happened probably about 2 or 3 weeks later. It was a girl, and everybody on social media was getting upset because they were singing a song, and the girl was saying that, so I can't say the N-word if it's in a song. And then her friends like, yeah, like it's in the song.
It's in the song, yeah.
And this is a good argument to have, because it's like, where do we draw the line?
Right.
Do we draw the line as saying that, hey, listen here.
Does context matter, or is it just a blanket?
Or is it just a blanket? Like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's in music or not. If you're not of a certain race, or a certain nationality, or whatever the case may be, then you can't use that word. But see, this is the whole thing too. It's just like, okay, do we make it any better when somebody that's Hispanic use the N-word, or somebody that is Asian may use the N-word, or some other race, or we just barreling the context to being that, oh, okay, anybody that is a majority, which is Caucasian people in America, anybody that's the majority, they can't use the word, but everybody that's minority is okay.
Yeah, I look at it like this. I just feel like we shouldn't get, us black people, we shouldn't get on other races for using the N-word when we use it ourselves. You know what I mean? I feel like we want other races to stop using that word. We should stop using it ourselves.
To me, it just feels like context.
I've been saying that.
Because for us to say, oh, well, this certain race can't use this word, that certain race can't use that word, I feel like we being hypocrites.
Oh yeah, but we about to be called some Uncle Toms because of that. Because people gonna be like, don't say that, But it's true. I feel like if you want to change something, then don't use the word. And I will sit here and say this. People like the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X and stuff like that, they fought, for things like this, for us to have equality, for us to not be discriminating and stuff like that. And if they was to come back in time and know we use this word so frequently, so just it just rolls off the tongue like it's a part of the English language, and we use it so much in that context, and they was like, listen here, we fought because people was calling us this was derogatory word because people thought we was stupid, people thought we was less than, thought that we wasn't that a black person wasn't to be considered a 100% full person. That we was animals, all kind of things.
That
like
word was
that.
used to put us down. And
Yeah.
like now y'all using it.
Yeah, I think they would hate it.
It makes them think like what we did and what we accomplished. I feel like was in vain. They died for nothing. You get what I'm saying? That's my honest opinion. If we really want to make a change, it all starts with ourselves.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna dive into it. With regards to Martin Luther King specifically, okay, I have read some of his works, and he does use the other N-word.
Okay.
Negro.
Yeah.
What is the cultural significance of that word?
You mean Negro versus the N-I-G-G-A
yes,
or
yes,
N-I-G?
that.
Okay, Negro is like...
Why is one so much more...
Okay,
I know
well, see,
it's more significant.
Negro actually comes from what I think the Latin language.
It just means black.
It means black.
Yes.
So Negro is not necessary. It's more of talking about a color. And so that's what people refer to. That's what a lot of black people saying, hey, I'm a Negro.
So it's a very
it's not
neutral
it's not
description.
it's not like it's not a derogatory word because it's actually a color.
Mm-hmm.
We just pronounce it like black people will say Negro, but I think
Mexican people they'll say Negro or something.
yeah,
like
Negro or whatnot.
Okay.
And but it's essentially that word. It's just saying mean black. So that word was never a derogatory word. Even to this day, people don't call themselves that anymore.
I mean, I feel like if a white politician said, "Oh yes, our Negro population, my Negro demographic," like everyone's gonna flip the fuck out, and
I would hope not.
Extremely justified, right?
Okay, I will hope not. And no, it's not extremely
Is that acceptable?
I don't think so because I think now the context is different. Like I haven't heard people call I've never heard people refer to themselves as Negroes in a long time. Like it was just like in the 60s, 50s and 60s, black people called themselves Negroes. 70s came around and it was Afro-Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And then 80s, 90s, that's when it turned into we're African Americans, so you had basically evolution of what we refer to ourselves as.
So it's just a linguistic.
Yeah, it's a linguistic thing.
Okay.
So if I would say this, if a white politician was to come out today and say our fellow Negro citizens or whatnot, I'll be like, dang it, you from the Stone Age? I would think that more.
You take them out of time rather than politically incorrect.
Politically incorrect or saying something that's discriminatory. Now, I'm just speaking for myself. Somebody else might, they might feel differently. But that's
I feel like there's more of a weight to it than that. I don't know.
Right.
I feel like if you went out in public conversation and said that, there'd be an outburst. There'd be
Well, like using the word Negro or
as if you were white,
like as a replacement. I mean, like you said, Negro.
You wouldn't really see it. That way.
I wouldn't really see it like that because that word is used in Spanish culture and Spanish language. It's a color.
You know how many times that somebody is referred to me like somebody of Spanish culture or Spanish race. They refer to me as a negrito, which means a black boy. And it's it's essentially they like, oh, he's a negrito or whatnot, or he's negro. It doesn't mean that it's anything wrong with it. It's essentially a color.
'Cause it's very
I see where you're coming
Yeah.
from, but it's basically saying the color, and it's just basically that's what we refer to ourselves at. Now getting back to the other word, it's just like, okay, yes, in music, is there a context? And if you think about it like this, times are changing because the word has been so popularized as like this
Sort of played
slang.
out.
Yeah, this slang like, yo, what's up, my, and it's just this, would that bird be quiet?
No, right?
If y'all hear that bird, we apologize.
That bird's trying to get in on the conversation.
But
We'll have him on as a guest star.
featuring the bird.
the bird,
So
the raven.
so it's one of those things where it's like what was I saying? Because the bird just took over my conversation.
You say
Use
the
it-
context, they use it in a
Yeah,
song.
you
Yeah,
times
you
it's
use
changing.
it in a song, and like think about it. I know, we're all in our early 20s, or in our 20s, and we know that, hey, in this day and age, we got friends that, may not refer to the word, but it's in all the songs. It's considered a cool thing, like, yo, what's up, my, and you don't think nothing of it, and that's just because the times have changed. I'm not saying that it's right, but it's just like, we've made the word so normal, and that's where the problem is. But then in the same breath, we turn around and then we say that, oh, well, this person can't say it, or that person can't say it, but we've normalized the word so much, and I think it's lost the actual context and meaning of what that word actually meant.
Man, yeah.
Which
You
was
know-
sort of the goal,
Which-
right?
yeah.
Wasn't it sort of to take away the harmful...
You wanted to take it away, but you don't want people to use it. So I feel like in order for people to not use it, you need to eliminate it.
Okay.
Like for
Eliminate it, period,
instance,
yeah.
derogatory slang that's used to call white people something. I'm not gonna say them, but we all know what they are. And they're considered derogatory slang
Yeah,
or
well,
whatnot.
see, and that's different.
But y'all don't use them. How many people do you
Yeah,
walk
a lot of
around
people-
saying that, yo, you know?
But look at it. Look, I think I'm glad you brought that up. There is nothing that someone could call me based on my race that is going to actually offend me in any measurable way. And I think a lot of that has to do with white people have always been the oppressors and never the oppressees. And any idiot in this country who says, oh no, white people are oppressed is a
Yeah.
fucking moron.
That's
and I'm
true.
talking
Yeah.
to you right now, person who's listening to this, thinking, oh, white people are oppressed. No, you're fucking stupid.
Right.
And I think that means, like, that word meant something
Yes.
for sure, and was something that was deeply hurtful. And there's never been a comparable word or situation
Or
for
like-
white people
or
in
like-
this
yeah.
country.
That is true.
That is true.
And I'm
That
not
is
saying,
true.
okay, let me just say, there are people who are white who are oppressed across the world. There are places where, it is bad to be a white person.
But if you're talking about a
but
white
in
person
general,
in America, Yeah.
get the fuck out.
yeah, and that's what leads to a whole nother conversation that we can get into. What people saying that, do you have privilege? Do white people have privilege? And a lot of people sit and say
Like
that white
90
don't have
people,
privilege.
90% of people will say yes. White people do have privilege.
I wouldn't go that high. There are a lot of people who are
Oh, it's
willfully deceiving.
yeah. There's a lot of people
themselves.
that will sit there and say that no, we don't. But it's just like, okay,
Okay,
everybody
so like
knows
we
it's
can
true.
scale it down to like 60%.
I wouldn't want to put a number on it.
Yeah.
I really don't have enough information. I would not want to
Yeah.
point.
And
at
I wouldn't
a
even want to
number.
get into that kind of conversation because it's just like until we had hard evidence of saying that, hey, this is the percentage, this is that.
Yeah, I would like to see a study.
But generally, we know it's true.
Yes, exactly.
It's one of those things
Except
where
for the truly the people who are consuming the kind of media that tells them you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim, and we all know who that is.
We already know.
You already know.
We already know. But yeah, again, I mean, last point on this, I just feel like essentially we have to start with ourselves. And I've even continued to try to get better on not saying the word, because it's just like, even though we use it for terms of endearment, if I like LA just said, if I want to make a change, I got to start with myself too. Yeah. And that's essentially what it is. I just feel like the situation, I'm glad he didn't kick her off stage. I thought that was really noble of him. But I'm just like, come on, K Dot, and I love K Dot, but it's like, come on, man. You could have brought her up on another. You could have brought her up there for Poetic Justice, or I Love Myself, or or I love myself, or what's the other song, the new one he had, Be Humble. It's other songs that don't use the word as much. I just felt like the ball was dropped on both parts, but I think this is a conversation that needs to be had, because there's a lot of people that are sitting around like, when is it acceptable? Is it acceptable to say this word in music, or is it not?
Right.
And people
not only in music,
and by whom?
Not only in music, but is it acceptable to say that word just in general conversation or in a general context sentence? I think we have to.
It's a tricky thing.
Yeah, because I said it before. Like, look, I think if we want other races to stop using the N-word, we have to stop saying it ourselves.
I would like to examine. I think I might do some research into this exactly. For those people in the black community who like the use of the term, who want the use of the term as a "we took it back" kind of thing, because I have heard that sentiment a lot. What exactly is the value that they are looking to attain?
What is the value of taking a word that was used to put down so many slaves?
I can see capture something back.
I'm saying that was used to institutionalize, pretty much,
right,
slaves in captivity. Like, what's the value of taking back that word?
Taking it and defanging it, I can see the use. I can sort of get how, if you remove the word's ability to be as powerful and hurt you, then that's a good thing. However, freaking out when other people say it,
and that's what I'm getting
is
to.
not defanging, right?
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying is, look, you're trying to take back the word to put a positive spin on it, but do not.
Then you can't freak out.
And do not get mad when other races uses that word.
For the record, I don't want to use this word. This is not something that I want. No. I'm just confused.
No, I'm just
confused.
I'm just confused. Look, I'm saying is, okay, if you're gonna take back the value of a word that was used to hurt so many people and try and put a positive spin on it, I can understand that.
Then take it back.
Put a positive spin on it. I'm all for that, but do not get upset when other races uses that word. To me, that's a hypocrite. That's you being a hypocrite.
I really want some more perspectives on this. I would like to.
This is one of those things where I would love to sit down with people, because me and LA essentially feel the same. But there's a lot of people out there that like, no, it's not a hypocrite, because they just don't need to be using the word. They just don't need to be using it. And I can see both spectrums, but I'm kind of like Evan. I'm lost. Like, okay, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
And that's another thing with me. I mean, I feel like sometimes, like there's certain things where we discriminate people outside of stuff too, Like, there was so many people, like when the Black Panther movie came out, I know there was a few people that came up to me that was black that was saying that, man, I went to and I saw all these different races at the movie. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you do know Black Panther is a comic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're going to see the movie just because it's the hottest thing out on the street and it's an all black cast. That's cool. That's great.
It does celebrate black
culture. It does celebrate black culture, and there's nothing wrong.
If you're a Marvel
it's nothing wrong with that. But don't be ignorant and
don't be gatekeeping.
Yeah, don't be gatekeeping. And I still call it ignorance, because it's just like lack of knowledge. Yeah. You lack to know that, hey, Black Panther is actually a comic. And there are comic book fans who've been reading this comic since they was kids, and probably have limited editions and all that. Right. So of course you're gonna have that fan base. That's the reason why the movie did so great.
Right.
Because you had both. You had all the people that was gonna come because it was an all black cast and it celebrates black culture, and then you had all the comic fans.
Mm-hmm. Like you got your Marvel fans. You know what I'm saying?
And a third group maybe. Other races, other people who want to support.
Yeah, who just love those kind of movies, who just love Marvel movies. I mean, I would say this, these superhero flicks are huge.
Right.
Avengers, the Expendables.
I just went to see. I just went to see Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Don't dare spoil anything. I will hurt
Like
you.
all these movies.
What, you haven't seen it yet?
No,
This ain't Netflix.
I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see it in Ohio.
Oh, Ohio too. Okay.
Yeah.
Like all these movies, you know, have huge followings of people that never watched, never read comics, but they just love these kind of movies because they're action packed. They're superhero movies. It's just great. It makes you feel good. You walk out of the movie like, wow, that was amazing. Got great effects, all
fun,
that. Yeah.
like
So you have
laughing.
that other niche group in between those two groups too. So it's, to me, it's just like, like you said, don't be a gatekeeper. And that's how I feel about, sometimes with the use of this word. I understand it has a negative connotation, and those people and their ancestors, had spoiled the word,
Right.
And I understand that, but we gotta have this conversation about, hey, when do we draw the line?
Right.
Where do we draw the line?
If we ever draw
and
the line.
and have some understanding. Another thing I wanted to talk about. So we already know that the Me Too movement is huge right now.
Right. Harvey Weinstein just got arrested.
Harvey Weinstein just turned himself in. I think he got released on $1 million bail.
That's chump change to him.
Yeah, chump change
Right.
to him. It looks like he's probably gonna get convicted. I mean, come on.
I don't know. Such things are hard to prove.
True.
Like,
But but you remember what you said, on our first episode, if a person gets indicted and they turn themselves in, 9 times out of 10,
They got something.
they got something that they feel is, they got
Right.
some case. It might not be 100% hardcore evidence, but they got something that they feel like they can build a case
Like,
because
it's
they wouldn't go
they
through
got
all
a
that
smoking
trouble.
gun, yeah.
You know?
They clearly got a smoking gun.
So it's one of those things. But also, I don't know if y'all heard Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
Yes,
It
allegations.
seems like
Allegations,
It
yeah.
seems like, and then it's the whole Steve Harvey thing. It seems like everybody's coming out and say, well, this celebrity actor, male actor, sexually assaulted me, or he
Right.
said something that I thought was offensive. That was the case with Morgan Freeman. And I feel like, okay, with Harvey Weinstein, it's like now it's a trickle effect. Now you don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know the validity of it.
Because there was a retraction recently. I can't remember which actor it was, but somebody who was accused, their accuser came back and was like, oh, no, it didn't happen. We've had a couple of false accusation or false rape convictions be overturned, be vacated. So, I mean, we talked about this back when we talked about the original. It's hard to tell. It's hard
Yes.
to tell. You want to believe them, but you also don't want to ruin somebody's life, for
Exactly.
no cause.
And I
so-
think with Morgan Freeman, he feels like this is like, he actually issued a statement, and he said pretty much, these are his words. He said, "I'm devastated that 80 years of my life is at risk of being undermined in a blink of an eye." And that's essentially what it is. And then he went on to say, all victims of assault and harassment deserve to be heard, and we need to listen to them. But it's not right to equate horrific incidents of sexual assault with misplaced compliments or humor. I admit that I am someone who feels the need to try to make women and men feel appreciated and at ease around me. As a part of that, I will often try to joke with them and compliment women in what I thought was a lighthearted and humorous way. Clearly, I'm not always coming across the way I intended. And that is why I apologize Thursday and will continue to apologize to anyone I might have upset, however unintentionally. But I also want to be clear. I did not create unsafe work environments. I did not assault women. I did not offer employment or advancement in exchange for sex. Any suggestion that I did so is completely false. I think that right there, I would say this with Morgan, this is the first time that I've actually heard a celebrity or a male celebrity that has been accused of this actually articulated that way.
Right.
That hit every nail on the coffin. Hit every nail in the coffin, and it hit every point because, like he said, they deserve to be heard, but at the same time, if I'm joking with you and I consider it to be that, it shouldn't be that it was worse misplaced conduct or sexual harassment, because obviously I meant it in a joking manner, you know?
Right.
But then
And-
again,
and, I mean,
if you do something that's fucking creepy and weird and bizarre, and somebody calls you out on it, and you say it was a joke, it was a prank, it was not, you know,
Right.
I was just kidding around. That also shouldn't absolve you of any.
Okay, but let's put it this way. If he didn't come out and make a statement, would we be saying that, okay, well, since he didn't make a statement, maybe all of this is true? You know?
See,
I mean,
we just don't know.
We just don't know,
know.
because
Right.
it depends on what his lawyer is telling
I mean,
him.
obviously,
because if his lawyer
this-
feels like, hey, these charges could actually turn into something, they might advise him not to say anything.
Right.
The best thing for him might be silence. You know?
Right, but I'm saying, obviously, this hurt him
Yeah.
deeply enough to issue a
Well,
long
I mean,
statement like that.
He's looking at other people getting arrested, so yeah, he's sort of got to make a statement.
Yeah, but I mean, Steve Harvey, he's, you know, getting claimed of sexual assault as well, but you don't see him making a statement.
Has he not made any kind of? I don't know.
I'm just looking at it. Obviously, this hurt him deep enough where he came out and made a statement.
Okay,
And
I'm-
issued a long statement at that, like Germany was saying this. He hit every nail in the coffin.
Right.
You know, when it comes to addressing workplace joking, you know, sometimes he does feel the need to appease women, and sometimes it comes out the wrong way. And he also apologized if he ever offended anybody. He apologized. He hit every issue in that statement.
However, some of these allegations, what the women are accusing him of, some of this stuff is pretty creepy. Like, for instance, let's see, what did one of the girls say? They said that he would rest his hand on her lower back and rub her lower back. I've seen people do that.
Weird.
Like, it's weird, but I've seen people, you know, they'll hit you on your, they'll rub you on your back like, hey, how you doing, or
Right,
whatever.
right.
You know, or in
like a very minor hug.
yeah,
kind of
like a
thing.
comfort kind of thing. I can see
Like a
that, but I can
courtesy.
see I can see how that
common courtesy type of thing as well.
But I can see how that could be misconstrued into, or it could seem that, oh, he's trying to grope me or touch me in a.
I would say it's still pretty weird for coworkers.
It's still pretty weird.
I mean, it's
but
not-
I've seen it happen. Some people
What other accusations were there?
they said in one incident, she said Freeman kept trying to lift up my skirt and asking if I was wearing any underwear.
Okay,
now,
that's
that
weird. Yeah,
right there
that's
is
crossing the line.
unnecessary. Yeah, that's crossing the line. He never successfully lifted her skirt. She said he would touch it and then try to lift it. She would move away and then he'll try again. Eventually, she said, Alan Arkin, whoever that is, made a comment telling him to stop. Morgan got freaked and didn't know what to say.
Ooh.
So that's where it's just like, dang.
that's what the lines
If that
are. That's
allegation is true,
If that allegation
that's
is
fucking weird.
that's weird and that's sexual harassment, you know. And it kind of leads me. You see all this happening, and everybody is getting, you know, included into this Me Too thing,
Right.
And it's just like, man, this is crazy. Like,
Well, I think there was definitely a culture. There was
yeah.
is.
Well, I mean,
there's a culture, because we've always heard for years the director's chair. You know, you go to the director's chair,
Right.
and you know, women will exchange sexual favors to get roles in movies,
Right.
TV shows, any kind of
and
media.
with no backup, no protection from the law or the studio execs. I mean, the studio execs are the ones, obviously, who are perpetrating this in a lot of cases.
But see, a lot of people are mixed on this, you know, because I see people that saying, no, this was wrong. And, you know, people were scared because of their career, you know, and I get it because you want to be famous. But is fame really worth that? If I walked into a situation, I'm 18 years old, and this person says that, and I know that, hey, I want to be an actor. I want to be a star, and, you know, and all that. Is it really worth me selling my body, or, you know, demeaning myself in that way, or allowing somebody to demean myself in that way in order to get a role in a movie or a TV show?
I mean,
is it really worth it, you know?
To me, the answer would be no, But apparently,
some
it happened.
people, if it's their life
but
dream,
but apparently it does happen.
And I can understand
all this, like this Me Too. It definitely gives you a window inside of Hollywood. What may or may not be happening. Because like Germany said, we've heard this for years.
Yeah.
Actors giving sexual favors to directors or producers to land this role or that certain type of role, and now that this is coming out. Everybody, saying, oh, well, he sexually assaulted me. Oh, well, this actor sexually assaulted me. It kind of gives you a window of what's going inside the movie industry.
Right. And, I mean, success is not, especially in the entertainment industry, it is not something that you can make happen on your own.
Yeah.
You gotta have the
wheels have to be greased, and we're talking in a lot of cases millions of dollars, because a lot of the people who are making these accusations are big name actresses,
right.
And collectively they're pulling down millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and if that's the price to be paid, they don't want to pay it. And they shouldn't have to pay it, and it's
they so desperate to be famous.
They're so desperate to make the dream that they've had happen.
Well, okay, well, you ever heard that old saying, the price of fame?
No.
You ever heard that saying, the price of fame?
Is what?
Basically, it's like what we're saying right now. And that's go across music, movies, anything. It's the price of fame. Sometimes requires you to do things that you don't want to do.
Right.
In order to reach.
That doesn't make it right, though.
In order to reach.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it right.
But it doesn't make it right, but it happened in order to reach this certain level.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it right to for it to happen. However, everybody can't be famous. We already know that. Everybody can be a huge. Sensation and star.
Yeah.
It's virtually impossible.
I think a lot of it is luck of the draw. If you get seen,
it's luck. It's luck and just having the opportunity. But everybody, how many, like even bringing it back to music, how many great singers are out there that are undiscovered,
mm-hmm.
that could probably blow some of these other people off the charts. But they just didn't have the luck, and it's not meant for them. At the end of the day, is being content in just having a good life and living comfortable. I understand this is your dream, and you want to be famous and stuff like that. But hey, just being an actor and working in theaters and stuff like that, and you're not necessarily known. You know how many actors and actresses are, doing plays and working in theaters and stuff like that, and they're just making a nice, honest living. They're not famous,
right?
But locally they're famous, and they do short films and stuff like that, and they living comfortably, but they don't have the spotlight on them like they're not a Brad Pitt or an Angelina Jolie.
Right.
Is that can you be content if that dream doesn't happen? Or does it mean I need to make this dream happen at any means necessary, even if it means putting myself in that kind of position?
Look at the implication of that statement. It's basically, this predator stood in the way of you and where you wanted to be, so you should be content with going and killing your dreams and going
no that's not what I'm saying. But
I know that's not what you're saying, but I'm saying the implication of that is, if some predator decides to put you in his sights, then maybe you should learn to live with less. And I think because so many women went through this, they've sort of banded together now, and they can stand united against this kind of stuff. And now Me Too is huge, and I think it is absolutely changing the culture. I think there are people out there who are like, oh shit, I can't do this anymore. I can't get away with this anymore.
Yeah,
they are saving women.
Yeah, no, they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sad. I'm just sad that it took this long for this to come to.
Right.
That's the only thing. And then I think about the Me Too movement is great, and it needed to happen. But I also think about all the child stars that were molested, like
Yeah.
Corey
And
Feldman.
That's rampant.
Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, the boys from Lost Boys. They was big kid stars in the 80s and early 90s. Corey Haim died, and he had a drug problem for years. Corey Feldman been saying this. I mean, he's part of the Me Too movement as well, but he had been saying this and was blackballed for years before this came out. And these were kids.
Yeah.
You know, these were kids. Like, let's just say it's one thing to be sexually assaulted or having somebody harass you in a workplace and you're 25, 35. But let's just say you 12 years old and you don't even know what sex is yet. And you don't even know what it is to,
like, your body's still growing, your mind is still
you don't
developing.
really understand what it is to like girls or to like boys or whatever the
And
case
you're
may be.
being
And then
preyed upon.
and you're being preyed upon, and then somebody comes in and snatches your innocence from you. And this happened to so
and if
many
you
kids.
dare to speak out, your career.
And
shoot.
your
You
career
get
is-
you get blacklisted, you get blackballed.
I think that needs to be included in the Me Too movement.
it is.
You know, to a certain extent.
But you say
what-
prioritized.
It needs to be prioritized a lot too, because what we hear mostly from the Me Too movement, we're talking about predominantly women
Right.
being harassed and assaulted, and actually coerced into and intimidated into doing sexual favors and all this kind of stuff in order to be famous, and actually harassed when they're telling people to stop.
Right.
Yep.
But what about the people that don't have a voice?
Yep.
These kids don't have voices, and I'm sure this is still happening. You know? And think about in Hollywood right now, if this is happening to kids right now and they're scared to say something, and these predators are like, oh, well, this Me Too movement is happening for the women, but
It's not happening for y'all.
it's not happening
right.
for these kids, and it's just leading them to say, okay, now I got more free reign because the spotlight is not be on me.
I mean, the
Me Too-
genie's sort of out of the bottle. I don't think this is not a blank check. This is not a, oh, you're distracted with this. They need to watch their backs. But I do agree that it would be nice to see more focus given to
Focus on all of it.
Well,
I
think eventually the Me Too movement will evolve into the spotlight of a child star. Eventually, you know, I don't know if it's. I don't think it's going to happen right now because, like Jeremy said, the spotlight is on the women.
And not also, I mean, this just goes to show these male, executives and male celebrities and actors and all that. They just felt like they could walk around and do whatever they wanted to
and
do.
they could.
And they could,
Like they shit don't stink. And that's horrible.
And I think, okay, and one of the biggest things to come out of the Me Too movement is the change in culture. Not only is it sort of like, no, you can't do that, but it's also changing the institutions that allowed it to happen. So apparently a very common thing was a hotel audition where, and it's very practical on the surface. They fly in, they set up a hotel in a conference room or in a hotel suite, and they have the actor or actress come in, run through their lines. Cool, thank you, goodbye. However, a lot of people were being abused in these hotel rooms because it's a hotel room and there's a bed and there's some privacy. And
Right.
So it's pretty much like a casting couch sort of situation.
yeah, so
And I'm going to say this
the
too.
exploitation was very possible, and apparently now they are doing away with those wholesale, or they are curtailing them, or they are making sure that there are proper monitoring.
Right.
Yeah,
They're
because
like
I'm telling you,
regulated.
if some
Yeah.
producer, some film executive tells you, come to my hotel so we can audition from something, that should not be happening.
That's a send a red flag right there and there.
But that's like the norm. That was such a common
Common thing. Yeah.
thing that you wouldn't think
Yeah.
twice. But like, even though to the outside person you're like, whoa, that sounds messed up. But
But
if
to people in
yeah,
Hollywood,
if it was
that's
a
normal.
thing,
That's normal.
show up at the hotel, we'll get your audition done, be in and out in 10 minutes, all kinds of good. You show up, do your lines, and leave, and you don't think twice about it. And then
Right.
that one time, show up, do your lines,
And this
do a little bit more.
Yeah. That's true. I do agree with that. It needs to be a social setting for these things.
Just have some kind of like there's a videotape at all times.
Yeah, at all times.
It's
you have
reviewable.
multiple witnesses.
Exactly.
They should even encourage auditioners to actually bring somebody with them as a backup, as a witness.
Or if you open the door and you see one person there and you don't see another person, you turn around and you walk away. And that's a culture change thing.
And getting to that, the auditioner should be verified.
Right.
I believe.
You should know what they look like, what their name is going into it.
You should know what they look like. You should see what their credentials are before you book an audition with them.
Yeah, because you know how many Hollywood stories I've heard where women say, "Yeah, I went to this what was supposed to be an audition. I went to what was supposed to be an audition, and
it turned out to be something.
Yeah, and it turned out to be this dude, and he was like a D-list film executive, and he worked on a film set way back in the 80s, and I thought I had a shot because there's a lot of them dudes in Hollywood. Like Corey Feldman said, there's these Hollywood guys where they're not necessarily film executives or music executives or anything like that.
Really
they're just guys that act like it, and then they coerce people into doing it. And if you don't know, you're just you're little Ashley from Cincinnati, Ohio, and you've never seen that. You don't have no way to corroborate that to say, oh, this is that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, it's got to be an open dialogue and conversations. But I do agree with what Evan said about that. There's got to be ways to combat this. Honestly, I say take it out of the hotels completely.
Right, and put in a big, large setting so where, like you said, there's multiple witnesses, there's multiple executives and producers of this A or B movie. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, essentially. Well, I think that's about it, guys.
Got into some controversial stuff there.
Yeah, we got into stuff. We got a little deep this time. We didn't even hit on everything that we wanted to, but that's why y'all keep coming back. And there's always another week and another thing for us to talk about. All right, this is the Leg Podcast. If y'all want to follow us on all our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that's all at the Leg Podcast. You want to find us on YouTube, we're at youtube.com/the TMC Network. We see you guys are liking those videos that we're posting, so we're going to continue to do that. Also, if you're listening to us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, or iTunes, please go ahead and hit those subscribe or follow buttons. Go ahead and drop us a review. Tell us how you like it. Drop us comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. If y'all want to email us directly, we're at thelegpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you're liking our podcast so far, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend and get them to come over. We're trying to grow this nation, all right? As always, this is the Leg Podcast.
This is LA.
This is Evan.
And I'm Germany B, the host. We're going to see y'all next week right here at the Leg Podcast. Just the Leg Podcast. Peace.
Hey, yo, this is your boy LA telling you to tune in to the Leg Podcast right here on the TMC Network.